Hey everyone, I'm Dan from jazzcomposerspresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm here today with Toronto-based saxophonist and composer Chelsea McBride, leader of the 6-piece Chelsea and the Cityscape, and the internationally acclaimed 19-piece Chelsea McBride Socialist Night School. Chelsea is here to talk to us about how to approach writing for unfamiliar instruments.
Thanks, Dan. So, every once in a while, you're going to come across something in your career where you're writing for an instrument that you have never written for before. This could be writing for piano when you're used to writing for guitar or vice versa, but it could also be writing for something like harp or guzheng or oud or tabla, something that you don't really have a whole lot of familiarity with to begin with. So I have a couple tips for being in these situations because it can be really daunting, but there is an easier way to approach it. The first thing, get technical. What's the range? How many notes can it play at once? Are there shapes that are easier or harder to reach? With harp, understanding the pedaling system is really important because that's something that can throw you off, and the harmonics in the parts start to really matter. With guzheng, it's tuned in a pentatonic scale, so certain chromatic lines are going to be harder to play than others. And on oud, certain keys are easier than others to play. Of course, this is going to vary across instruments, so I'll get to more ways that you can figure out some of the finer points. But get the technical specs down right away, because then you know what you're working with and what things are going to be easier or harder for your player to deal with. Second point, listen. Get to YouTube. You have a whole world of examples in front of you. So find examples of the instrument that you're trying to write for, and find feature performances, see what's possible, get the timbre in your head so you have a really clear idea of how this instrument sounds and what it's capable of, and listen for repeating figures, ranges that come up often, anything that you can find that seems to be idiomatic to the instrument, or it seems to be easier to execute, seems to be friendly to execute, even if it's challenging, stuff like that. And last but not least, ask a friend. If you're getting commissioned to do a piece like this, odds are you're talking to the person who's going to play the piece. If not, you probably have a friend or a friend of a friend who plays the instrument that you're trying to learn more about. Can they try stuff out for you? Can they tell you what's good and what's bad? Can they tell you what's possible? Ask them what they would want to see on a page, what they would want to play, what they're good at, what they struggle with, and see how you can work that all in. The example you're going to hear from me today is a piece that I wrote for So Long 7 for a concert with Spectrum Music, who is a Toronto-based new music presenter. I had never written for tabla before. I'd also never written for banjo before, but I was a little less intimidated by that. So this example is going to focus mostly on the tabla groove that I came up with. And this was a matter of asking Ravi sort of what was going on in the instrument and discovering what notation system worked best, and then listening to all of the So Long 7 recordings I could get my hands on to figure out what is their ensemble sound, what is the stuff they're good at. All of this came together in a piece about Paricutin, which is a volcano in Mexico. It was the first volcanic eruption to be documented by modern recording technology. And so I got really into the details of what scientists measured, everything from the height of the volcano to some of the video footage. There's a little bit kicking around on YouTube that you can find. Planes were flying over it. It was big news. There's a church that got buried in the middle of it. There are a lot of weird details to the story that I found absolutely fascinating. And so this all came together in a piece that I called Paricutin. And the excerpt you're going to hear is the story of the volcano post, or I guess during erupting. So let's hear the example now. So I got really technical with this piece. All of the melodic figures, all the accompaniment stuff is coming from the height of the volcano in meters and then just being manipulated from there. And that groove doesn't come in until the middle because that's the energy of the volcano erupting. So that's another way to ground your piece, but that's also a bit of a separate video. Let's review. If you're writing for an instrument that you don't know anything about, there are 3 techniques that you can use to get a little bit more comfortable with the project that you've been asked to do. First point, get technical, figure out what you need to know about the instrument. Second point, listen, get the sound in your head, get as many examples as you can, figure out what you can use and steal and borrow from other composers who have written for this instrument before. And last but not least, when in doubt, phone a friend, ask the person who's commissioning you, figure out what makes sense to someone who actually plays the instrument and use their wisdom to inform your writing practice. So that's it from me.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos in the comment section down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head over to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.